All right. Howdy, everybody. Welcome. If you're here with us live, welcome in the chat. In fact, I better put the chat up there. There we go. And if you're watching this later, welcome. You're in the right place. I'm so glad to have you. This is, oh, and I've got an echo in my headphones. There we go. Yeah, I've still got that delay. That's crazy. Oh, I think it's because I've got YouTube playing. Hold on. All right. Anyway, welcome. Yes, we're talking about Gen Con today. And of course, I did not get the chance to go. So I have some very special guests here. I've got Marty and Gary. Welcome, guys. I'm glad to have you.
Good to be
Thanks
here.
for having me back.
Yep. All right. So both of you got to make it to Gen Con. But first, kind of introduce for any who don't know you yet. You're frequent on the channel now. But we've got, let me make you big here. We've got, hey, that's making me big. There we go. That's all right. I'll figure it out. All right. We've got Gary. We've got Fetigator, a breath of fresh air. And what's your claim to fame, Gary?
Not a whole lot. My claim to fame is I've been a little bit in the content creation for, well, quite a while. I was one of the OGs at Man vs. Meeple. And then I've just kind of moved around and done stuff with Ant Lab Games, and then also with you here, and just love playing games. I live here in Indianapolis, so kind of been around the scene probably pretty more heavily like as a gamer since probably about 2015. So I guess that'll be like my birth into the hobby world per se. So yeah.
Awesome. And our little icebreaker. So you're the only one here to have seen both. Of course, no spoilers or anything, but you've seen Superman and you've seen Fantastic Four. And is there one that you feel a little more than the other?
Well, yeah, I would say I barely feel, and it's interesting because it's the one that's flopping the most, but I felt Fantastic Four a little bit more. I just liked the story better than Superman, and I liked the way it looked. I love that 60s feel and all that sort of stuff. It has some issues that we can always get deeper into. I liked Superman 2. I'd say like just briefly, they're kind of, for me, both kind of a little bit of meh-tastic, but maybe a little bit more for Fantastic Four. With Superman, I love the comic book look. I like the bright colors. I liked, there was the action's pretty good. I like the big kaiju monster you kind of see in the trailers, but that also had some issues that there was like just some issues about Superman. I just didn't like how he was kind of portrayed, but that's just me. But I don't know the way these numbers are coming out. Superman's obviously winning the number battle, but it looks like it may just overall break even or a little bit above break even. Fantastic Four is struggling, so I don't know. I think a lot of people are getting superhero fatigue, or at least just in terms of the stories are just not good anymore. You're going to go to these movies. You're probably going to like it. You're probably not going to go see it again in a theater. And they needed that. They needed that. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'd say like a 6.5 for both of them.
Okay. All right. With a slight lean to Fantastic Four. That's why you're here.
Yeah. 6.55 for Fantastic Four.
Okay.
All right. Now, Marty, welcome. Welcome back. What's your claim to fame, my friend?
I don't have a claim to fame, but I am on a podcast I've been doing for 13 years. I'm on part of Rolling Dice on Taking Names. Me and my co-host Tony been doing this for a while. This is probably, when I think about Gen Cons, this is probably my 12th or 13th Gen Con. I should have been keeping count all along. So I've got a lot of experience going back. I think my first one was 2010. When the attendance was like 32,000 and now it's 72,000. So I've seen it grow over the years.
And did you host, I get my cons confused. Did you host an event at this Gen Con, or is that coming up in Tantrum Con?
No, I hosted it here, which was the Strike tournament. This is our 7th year doing that. We're on Thursday night. We get a room at the old spaghetti factory. Over 100 people come. and we play a game of Strike. With the whole goal is there's two camps. Is Strike just dice in a bowl, or is it like really like gladiators in an arena? How do you view the theme of that game? And we have this tournament to determine which side it is for the next year. And this year, I'm glad to say that Dice in a Bowl won. So for another year, we have to say that Strike is just Dice in a Bowl.
All right, awesome. Yeah, and if you're in chat, I know some of you are from my area here and you got to make it to Gen Con. So if you're in chat, share your experiences as well, or just let me know, did you make it to Gen Con? Did you have to pass this year? Have you ever gone? Let me know. I'm excited to learn all about this for whenever my first trip comes. It kind of scares me to plan a trip that big. I like my little board games for one den at home. I shrivel when I step out into the light. So Gen Con looks kind of big, but it looks like a really good time. So we'll see if you can convince me to go. But also, Marty, Superman, you haven't seen Fantastic Four. So
Correct.
what I wanted to ask you is if you can go back in time and erase seeing Superman, did you feel a little more excited to see one over the other? Was it the same?
No, I was way more excited to see Superman by
Okay.
far, because I'm a DC guy anyway.
Okay.
So I've been looking forward to the DC universe, DC movies coming back. I like James Gunn. I like what he did with Guardians and some of his other movies. So I was excited to see what he did. And so, yeah, I was more excited for Superman. But from a lot of little things that I've read from reviews and stuff, I have a feeling it sounds like Fantastic Four may be more compared movie to movie with script and tone and everything like that. I may end up falling in the Fantastic Four camp, but I'll find out this weekend.
Okay. Awesome. And Board Game Officer, welcome. I'm glad to have you here. I like your channel too. I've seen some of your stuff and glad you got to go with a couple buddies. Really, really looking forward to hearing about it. Okay. So we're at the arrival. I saw some pictures of I've got this picture up here for how packed it was. So in no particular order, tell me about your arrival. What's it like getting there, getting in, flying there, walking there, whatever. Just tell me about getting there.
Well, I guess we have two different stories, right, Gary? Because you're
Yeah.
local and I had to come in. So it's going to be probably two different approaches to this.
All right.
Yeah,
Let's hear yours,
go
Marty.
ahead. Go ahead, Marty. You can share yours first.
Okay, so I'm from North Carolina, so I fly in. I've driven it a couple times. It's not worth it. I'll just fly. So for me, I usually get there. I got there on Monday this year because I was coming from Vegas for the Star Wars Unlimited Galactic Championships that I went to. But typically I show up on Tuesday, and the reason why is because one of our sponsors is Portal Games. And so on Wednesday, we get to go into we go into the hall and help them set up their booth before it opens on Thursday. So my experience is I'm getting to see the convention center turn in from just basically concrete floors and pallets to what you see basically in the second picture here that you have on screen here. So I get to see some of the behind the scenes stuff of just getting everything set up.
Okay, I'm going to try to share some of those pictures, actually. Let me see if I can do this. Because you put some on Instagram, I believe. So let me remove this one. There we are. Okay, so that's just plain old Instagram, but I've got yours up. Here we go. Because I saw some pictures. This was preparing, but you posted some pictures of setting up. This was all before, but what you were, is this what you're talking about right here?
Yes. So this, Tony and I have tradition. Tony's the one looking at the camera, where we put down the floor for Portal. That's our job. We put down the flooring for Portal. And so as you can see there, it's, let's see, you're looking towards the front of the booth, but this is basically what it looks like around the entire hall. Basically, all the pallets are delivered to each of the locations where the booths are going to be. And then for a day and a half or so, everybody's doing what we're doing, putting down flooring, putting up panels, curtains, setting up tables, then putting out product.
Okay. I think that was and then it gets into some other stuff. Okay, cool. All right. Back to what you were saying.
No, so that's it. So When you see the top picture up there, I've done that before. Years ago, I've stood in that big group to go in, but because I have an exhibitor's pass, I can go in the exhibitor door, so I get to see the mob coming in, but I don't stand in that mob anymore.
Okay. And howdy, Jake. I'm always glad to see you here. Welcome. All right. How about you, Gary? What was your arrival like?
So, being local, I can actually get downtown in about 15, 20 minutes. And luckily, I was thinking about a month ago, because parking is like, there's parking, but obviously they're going to charge. I mean, you got a ton of people downtown, and so I got me some parking pretty cheap, like right next to the convention center, which was nice. But basically, I just get up. Whereas Marty was not standing in that, which they call the running of the nerds, like the running of the bulls. So that's the main hallway right before you get into the expo hall. And there was a couple games I wanted to get, and I knew they would go fast. And so I wanted to get there a little bit early. So I got there like around 8:15ish or so, and just kind of worked my way all the way up to the rope, so I could get right in there, as soon as the door opens, because within an hour, that hallway is like half full, and then with about 30 minutes to go, it's completely full. There's people on the second level, there's people on the stairways. I mean, it just gets flooded. So then they open up the doors, and they did make this big announcement: no running, which rarely works. And it's so funny, as you're streaming in, everybody that's inside, like where Marty's at, is wanting to see this flood of people coming. So they're all standing in the aisles filming this. It's like, you're all going to get run over, and it is kind of humorous. But so they open up doors, it's 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, and they just let everybody in, and that's basically how you do it. If you want to if there's a game you really, really want, and they only got limited copies, you want to get there early. Other than that, it's easier just to just kind of walk around elsewhere till about after the door is open. Then it's easy to get in and out of.
Do they still do opening ceremonies outside? Right,
you know what? I have not seen it. I didn't see it this year. I don't remember even seeing it last year. They used to have these ginormous dice, and they would like roll them, and that would be the interest. I don't think they do anymore, just because it takes up a little bit of space. They probably just, it shoves more people in. So,
okay.
So that's basically the arrival.
All right. And good point about that, Dan. Vegas to a gambler, Gen Con for gamers. So yeah, it looks like a really good time. So with the experience, I'm kind of interested particularly in what days you went, and also, do you spend more time? I'm going to throw a bunch of questions at you here, because I have no idea.
Shoot them.
Do you spend most of your time on the what do we call the display floor?
The expo hall.
The expo hall, or are there a lot of like Origins, where there's a lot of side rooms, and do you actually get to play games? Is that part of your experience, or do you mostly spend it in the exhibit hall? I saw some pictures of social deduction games too, which I'm assuming y'all didn't do. And then, of course, Marty, I'm going to want to hear about Strike. But let's start with you, Gary. We'll go in the opposite order this time. Tell me about the experience, maybe through each day that you were there.
So I was there. Well, it officially unofficially kind of starts on Wednesday. I mean, Wednesday's almost become an event now, because everybody's getting there. They're getting their will call tickets or their badges. Games are already starting. People are flooding in. A lot of the designers, publishers, they start kind of getting in around Tuesday usually, because the exhibitors need to start setting things up. But I was there Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. I didn't go on Sunday. I usually don't. I'm kind of done. But on Thursday, I get there, I walk the expo hall. This year I grabbed my games because my car was close. I grabbed my games, and then I actually was probably in the hall for maybe an hour, and then I walked to my car, took my games, because I didn't want to carry them around all day long.
Let me interrupt real quick.
Yeah.
So I heard something, I think it was on the Dice Tower podcast, where they implemented some new policies this year, where in the past they used to allow people to have carts because you talked about taking your games back, where they used to allow people to have a cart behind them where they would hold their games, or they would use a baby stroller. They would carry the baby.
Yeah, they're not
and
supposed to
then
have
use
those anymore.
Right. They said something about they were trying to put a stop to that. So did you notice a difference at all
Wh-
in
I saw
congestion?
some. I did see some baby carriages or baby strollers. There were babies in them with babies holding games. So, what I do see, and I hate these things. I they're great, if you're just going to a game night, but are those big backpacks that can hold like the big normal size games? I can't tell you how many times I got hit by one of those just by people turning, and it's like boom right into your shoulder. Like, good grief. They're just, I would kind of like them to say, okay, no more of those two, or you need to carry it. Because I don't know if you saw, the official numbers are now out, and the official number this year, and it was sold out every single day, all four-day badges and single day badges, 72,000 people. Now, there was obviously more people than that, because you can go walk around in the hallways of the convention center without a badge. Just go walk around, see the cosplay, see things go, that kind of stuff. You can go down the stadium. So there was easily, probably at least on Thursday and Friday, I would say closer to 80,000 people. So, I get in there, I walk the expo hall, take my games back, come back, and then I start kind of going and up and down the rows and just kind of seeing what's going on, because I tell you, I don't have a tracker on me. I don't know if Marty does, but I mean, you walk miles over these few days. I mean, it's just, usually my feet don't hurt. Maybe because I'm getting older. My feet were hurting by Friday. I was walking a ton, but that's basically kind of every day. Then there's a big hall next to the expo hall called Hall D, as they generally call it. But there's a lot of demoing games. There's people can play games. Then you can go to the hotels. That's where all the open gaming is at. You go to the hotels and play your games.
So they're like attached to it?
They are.
Okay.
A number of the hotels are attached by walkways, and are building another huge hotel, supposed to be bigger than even the JW Marriott, which is ginormous, right next to the convention center. So, there's a lot of things to do. There are side rooms all throughout the convention center that are full of games. There's even, when you go into the stadium, all the suites have things going on down around where the locker rooms are. Underneath, there's meeting rooms around. Those have things going on. So it's just every room in that whole big block of convention center area and the hotels, something is going on in there. It's quite a production.
Awesome. Can you guys hear the cicadas? I don't know if that's coming through.
Barely.
I got my windows open. Sorry. I hope you like the sound of cicadas.
I do.
Okay, so
puts me to sleep.
Yeah. I love it. That's true, because you have them up in your area too, right?
Mm-hmm. I mean,
Okay.
I think they're all over, right? But
yeah, it's a season. Yeah, we got them too.
Okay, all right. I wasn't sure if that was just like along the coast here or what. Okay, so you got all those days in. So did you spend any time, Gary, in the gameplay areas?
Yes. Usually in the late afternoons. Like one evening, I was with Marty and Tony and a couple other guys. We were playing some of the smaller card games. Here's the thing about Gen Con. I've always said this. Yes, there are lots of games going on, but generally I have kind of found it's not really, I don't even know how really to say this, but it's like, I don't play a lot of games when I go to Gen Con. I'm usually picking, or maybe the smaller ones. Yes, there are people breaking out the big ones, but they're usually like in the hotels and stuff. Or, there's a lot of werewolf games going on. There's a lot of magic going on. RPG galore. If you're an RPGer, this is like your mecca of the year. I mean, it is RPG galore. So it's been
even the cover of the I don't think, you mentioned that the cover for their program, it'll probably take me too long to find, but anyway, it looked very RPG centered just by the artwork,
and it's everywhere, and it's it's pretty interesting. It's been a minute since I've actually sat down and played a 1.5, 2 hour game at GenCon. I mean, it's been years since I've done that. It's a lot of the smaller ones because you got to learn them. And usually in these halls, it's loud. You don't want to sit there and like read a rule book, everybody's screaming. But I will say the open gaming areas in some of these hotels, like they go all night long. That is fun. And that is where you can go and sit down. There's people wanting to play. They'll invite you in. And I have done that a couple of times. And that is a lot of fun. But you kind of got to go to the hotels for that.
Okay. Now, Marty, so as part of your experience, and I want to hear all about it, but since you're sponsored by Portal Games, you help them with the setup. Is some of your time, are you free for the whole convention, I guess, or are you working at the booth as well?
No, I'm free for the whole convention. And typically, because we have the podcast, we get invited to have a lot of meetings with publishers. So on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, we probably had 6 to 7 meetings per day where you just go and sit with the publisher and talk for about 30 minutes about games that are coming out. What's the hot game there? Lots of times just catching up with people. With most of the people I meet with, I already have a relationship with, and I know them well. So sometimes it's just catching up, see how they're doing. They're finding out how we're doing, etc. So no, I do not have to sit in the booth. And so likewise, my time during the day is when I'm not going to these meetings. I am just walking up and down the aisles and checking out new things. Sometimes I'll do a demo. Sometimes I'll see a game that I didn't know about. I especially like to focus on the smaller companies that don't get a lot of buzz because, the Asmodees and the Renegade Games they're huge, and everybody goes there and sees what they got. So sometimes I'll try to see if I can find any gems. I've picked up a few things this year. I don't know if any of them are any good. But I did pick up. So, Gary, you were there for one of the little things I picked up. There was a company from India that came in, and so they don't sell games in the U.S., but they brought their games from India to sell. And so Gary and I played. I guess it's like a little party deduction game.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember the name of it.
Uninvited guests.
Uninvited guests. So
okay, I've heard the title.
What happens in India is they'll have these big weddings and people will show up that aren't supposed to be there. So this is a game where there's basically pictures of the different people that attended that event. You don't want to be in the picture. So you're trying to eliminate pictures out of basically an album that has a picture of you, but you're trying to do it kind of clever way so that people can't figure out which one is you in the picture. And so you play through the game, and it's like if you have a guess on who it is, they get to guess. And if you're right, you're out for the game. I've only played it once. It was one of those things because of player elimination. The people that were no longer playing kind of got bored. Okay, I've really gone in tangent. Anyway, so I like to find little games that aren't necessarily focused on during that time. And then on Sunday, we usually head back. But I usually do one more time through the hall on Sunday just to make sure I didn't catch something. Another thing I noticed too, and I don't know if Gary felt this way. So years ago, the busiest day was always on Saturday. I feel like recently the busiest day is now on Thursday because I think everybody's learned that if there's limited games or something, the best chance to get those hot games is you got to be there on Thursday.
Yeah, for Thursday and Friday felt uber busy. Like usually when you'd walk through the halls, everybody's excited, adrenaline's pumping, gonna get the game. So everybody's in the expo hall at, those first few hours of like a Thursday or a Friday, or especially on a Saturday, just a few years ago. Now it's like that the entire time. Usually by the end of the afternoon, people are kind of getting out, they're going to dinner, or they're starting to play their games. I never really felt like that on Thursday or Friday, just because when I would go back to walk through the art section, it was so packed all the time, which usually it isn't by that time. People are kind of stream. It was just over. That's when you say, or you can feel the attendance has really been bumped up. I mean, they're even kind of hoping to have an officially pushing 80,000 here in the next couple of years. I mean, they're already kind of there now, but officially it's only 72,000. But that Thursday, Friday, I mean, it was just, and I don't know if you felt this way too, Marty. I felt like they even widened the walkways a little bit, but it's still, you're just you're shoulder to shoulder.
It's wall to wall, people. They've also opened up, and they have done this for several years, Lucas Oil Field. So they cover the football field and set up a bunch of tables there and do events there. So there is an underground walkway from the convention center to Lucas Oil. So they have a bunch of events running there too. And you're talking about how much you walk. I do have a Fitbit. On Friday I checked, I walked 6.5 miles that day.
Oh, I believe it.
It was like 15,000 steps. But yeah, I mean, so it's not just the convention center. As Gary said, it's also the hotels where people tend to kind of set up and do their own thing, especially at night. But now it's also spread out to Lucas Oil Field too.
Okay, and I was wondering too, so I know that the only two conventions, at least the two big conventions for actual game releases or maybe game announcements, I'm not sure, that you got Essen, you got GenCon. Now, I remember hearing from Ant Lab Games, it was probably a couple years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, there was a GenCon, and they decided not to go because the releases just didn't really seem to interest them that year. I think that was 3 years ago. How did this year look for the excitement of seeing any new titles, or were there any announcements of games that excited either one of you?
You want to take that, Marty, first? I got a few things.
We have the same experience. I'm not sure. So typically in years past, there's always that 1 or 2 games that just is popping at the con. It's like everybody's rushing to get this game. Everybody's carrying it. I had so many people ask me. The common thing is, "Hey, what's the big game you saw this year? What are you interested in?" I don't think there's any one game that really bubbled to the top. I mean, there was some interest in Lightning Train because they had very few copies over at Dire Wolf Digital, but it wasn't like everybody was talking about it. And on Sunday, I didn't even know this. There was this kind of small publisher that had a game called Menagerie that had a huge long line of people buying it. I had never even heard of it. So this year, I felt like there was nothing that was a must-have, must-get. I think a lot of people were interested in the Battle of Hoth, the Memoir 44 game Battle of Hoth, but you got Asmodee that's kind of really been pumping that up. And so a lot of people did rush in to try to get that each day. So for me, I don't think there was a must-have game this year. And I'll segue into something else, what I feel is getting bigger, but I'll let Gary go and then I'll come back to it.
Okay.
Yeah, I totally agree with Marty. Used to, and another thing with Gen Con, because always the biggest and best releases generally come out at Essen over in Germany. But usually Gen Con always had, when you walked in, there was always like one company or a couple companies that like, here's a game that we didn't tell anybody about, and it's boom. Renegade used to do that with some of the Clanks. FFG did that with Twilight Imperium 4. No one knew that was coming out. They all walk in and there's piles of Twilight Imperium 4. People are like, what is this? You don't get that anymore. Now, one reason, yes, it's because it's out there, the whole tariff situation. So a lot of companies didn't show up. They didn't bring some of their bigger games. They might have done that with
Portal Games, right? I'm sorry. I'll get
Portal
back to you,
Games wasn't there.
No, Portal Games
was not there.
No, Portal Games was there, but their big game Age of Galaxies didn't show up.
That's right. Yeah. Right. Yeah, exactly. Yes. So, so you just didn't
now
have
shipped
that
this
now.
week. So,
look at there. There it is.
They were off by 1 week. Literally, it was 1 week away from it being there.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Yeah, but like I got the Battle of Hoth. I know Spooktacular is another big one. It was gone the first day. Because I went to go grab Battle of Hoth, and they go, "We don't have any Battle of Hoth today. You have to come back tomorrow." And I'm like, okay. Everybody left the line, like 50 people. Then to come find out a couple hours later, oh yeah, we did have Battle of Hoth, but we're all out now. So I had to wait till the next day to get it. But I did go over to get Spooktacular, and it was gone the first day. They're totally out because it's a really nice production, and it seems like a pretty fun game. But yet, like Marty said, there wasn't a like game of the con. There's usually like a game of the con. this year we were kind of talking and teasing about it. This Gen Con was like the age of all play. We're talking small card box games, or just small games that come in a small box. Like I'd have to say, like as of right now, I mean, besides some of these bigger ones, I know that I'll enjoy. But if I had a surprise game, it was this one, Up or Down from Kramer and Kiesling.
I've got that.
When you look at it, it's just like you're building an elevator going up or going down. Okay, I love Kramer and Kiesling, but that seems kind of lame. And we played it. I played with Marty and Tony, and I'm like, this game is simple. You can teach it to your grandma. And I'm like, this game was fun. Like, I really enjoyed it. I'm like, I could sit down and show it to anybody, teach it in 2 minutes, have a good time. We could be done in 15, 20 minutes. I went the next day and bought it. It's $12. We played it at the MVM event the next night, and that was a blast. So if you want a fun, and it's from Capstone. Capstone has this. I would highly recommend. This is a great one, because there was no Flip 7 this year. But this one, this was a solid buy.
Let me pause you real quick before you do the segue, Marty, and keep your thoughts there. I want to highlight just a couple things here. So, and I'm sorry that I cover your face, Marty. Someday I'm going to figure this out. I know, there you are. So Gizmo, Papiria, you've put that on my radar now because I like your taste in games. If you can tell me about it in chat as well, kind of what interests you about it. But I will actually look at that. Sounds Egyptian. Sounds like my kind of thing.
Oh.
And then Dan had a good question. Mike, when do you plan to go next year? So the issue is next year I'm going on, I'm usually a backpack traveler. Okay. When I went to, what's the one in Pennsylvania? It's not Origins. It's the other big convention.
Oh, PAX Unplugged.
When I went there, I stayed in a hostel, right? Like that's how I'm used to traveling. Well, next year I'm going on my first cruise, and it's a big Mediterranean cruise. So that's kind of my big, that's very unlike me, and it'll be interesting. So that's my big trip next year. So I'm not ready to commit to Gen Con next year with it being so close to after that cruise. So I'm more planning 2 years out. You will see me at Tantrum Con. I'm already set for that. I know Marty will be there. I'm going to hide this so we can see Marty's thumbs up. So I would love anybody in the Charlotte, North Carolina area. I'm going to be plugging that as much as possible. I would love to see you at that con. And Origins is a slight possibility. The good thing about Gen Con, it's still possible. I'm just not committing, is it happens in August. And I'm a window cleaner by trade. And I have a 2-week dip in August where I get sort of a slowdown in work. And it lands right where Gen Con is. So I might do it. It's just a matter of the logistics of planning it out. And then last one here, Battleforge Berserker, I've never heard of. Marty, and tell me about it, Board Game Officer. Marty, have you or I'm forgetting your name. Dan, Gary.
Wow.
This is why I have guests.
Thanks.
No, this is called old age. Okay.
Right.
Battleforge Berserker. Have you guys heard about that?
I have no idea what that is.
All right, tell us about it. Tell us about a Board Game Officer. You put that on my radar.
I mean, is that a like a war game, mini war game, like a?
It doesn't
Warhammer?
Show up in BGG.
A one gaming trend game. Yeah, I didn't see it. I didn't hear about it. So I'm sorry about that.
Okay. Multiple rondels like resource management, Discordia. Okay. All right. Thanks, Gizmo. Hey, Vivian. Hello, all the way down in Brazil. Okay. I interrupted you. Go back to your train of thought, Gary, and your segue, Marty.
No, I was finished. Go ahead, Marty. Go what you were going to say.
I was going to tag a little bit off you.
Yes, up or down.
Small card games, a hit. What I spent a lot of my money on was those small card games. They're easy to take, to play. I mean, and it's one of those things, if I don't like it, $15. I kind of wasted $15. Big deal. As opposed to spending $75 on a Euro. It's like, this really isn't that great sort of deal. So I think a lot of people are now, I've got enough big games. I just want these quick filler games. And I think those were super hot. But my segue was to me, what seems to be a resurgence in the board game market is in the collectible card game space, CCGs. It started about 4 or 5 years ago. And at Gen Con, when new CCGs are introduced, that's where I'm seeing lines. This year, there were still people lining up for Lorcana promos in the main TCG hall. People were lining up to try out the new Riftbound card game that's coming out from Riot. They had constant demos and they were all sold out. Bandai was there with their new Gundam game, and there was long lines in order to get decks of that too. So the CCG space seems to be exploding again recently. It kind of petered out after 2010, after a long 15-year boom, but it seems to be coming back, and people really excited about those games, as I saw probably the longest lines at those booths.
You know, that makes sense because I was never into them, and I've I just decided to try out Star Wars Unlimited and Lorcana, and then the Final Fantasy MTG. I'm a Final Fantasy nut, so I got a whole collector box, or not a collector box, I got a booster box of that. But that makes sense because I've only recently, and I love Unlimited now more than Lorcana, but Lorcana is interesting too. But just in the past year, I'm now interested in CCGs where I was not last year.
You know, another car, I've never played it. I don't know a whole lot about it other than it's been around a couple years. But the Doomlings line never stopped being long. Every time, and it was toward the back. I don't know if you saw that, Marty. I did. A line constantly every single day. It would wrap around because I know because it blocked the bathroom I tried to go to a couple times. I need to know more about that game. I know it's been around and stuff, but that line was insane.
They actually reached out to me, so they sent me a copy of Doomlings, and I let them know, I'm a one-player game channel. I do feature multiplayer games as well. I'm more comfortable with that now. But I let them know, and they were like, no, we just want you to make up a solo mode, like on the spot, and do a little video. So I did that. So I have not played it multiplayer yet, but I see the fun of it. It's a little more strategic. It's a lot more strategic, actually, than something like Exploding Kittens, but it has that approachability and kind of funness of cute critters creating civilizations to end the world. So it was cute. I'm surprised at something like Gen Con because I don't think of Doomlings. I think of it as a part of the hobby, but more the broader side of it, where when I think of Gen Con, I think of like hardcore hobbyists, right? So I'm surprised that's where the line.
I think there was a spin the wheel price thing too that drove a lot of people there. I think there was a reason people wanted to go and try that too. Not only from the game, but the chance to win prizes.
Okay, that makes sense. But they were super cool to work with. It's a cute game. If I make it up there, we can try a game of Doomlings.
We got given a couple decks of a new CCG called Cookie something. This was from Luma Imports. Cookie, is there any Cookie? Shoot. Cookie Run. That's it. I have never heard of it. Tony said, well, we try every card game. So Cookie Run looks almost like a Doomlings. It's basically you're playing as cookies. I don't know. It seemed people were interested in it too. And I went, really? Yeah, I mean, if you look at
Yu-Gi-Oh.
Do you think it's, not to get too off topic, this is a topic for another time, but I'm gonna ask anyway. So do you think it's because the hobby is broadening a little bit, that it's showing at Gen Con, and part of the broadening are some of these, cuter, lighter, people have a little less money maybe to buy those bigger games? Do you think it's because the hobby's getting bigger?
Well, I mean, they mentioned a couple of years ago in some of these big, like when they bring out these yearly, like the board gaming, like the industry as a whole, and where they're seeing some of these bigger companies go. Sure, there's some of the smaller companies are doing this. Some of the bigger ones, especially, they specifically mentioned back in 2023, we are going to start moving away from the big board games and we're going to card games. One, it's just cheaper to make and people will buy them. And so I think this is kind of the next little phase you're going to see the industry kind of go through, is just a flood of card games. One, because of the economics of the whole thing, and one is because people will buy them. They will buy, even if they're dumb and stupid. Their kids will buy them. Just this is I got Cookie Run. Okay, they grab it and they take it to school. So I think it's why you're starting to see a lot of this. And that's, like I said, like the age of all play. All play is all about small games. So they're easy to make. They're getting big designers actually make some of these small games. So they're getting some cred behind some of these. And some of them are actually pretty fun. But, they're easy to learn. You can play them in 15, 30 minutes. And that's a lot, what a lot of people are wanting. So it works out for both sides.
And it's low risk, potentially high reward.
Right.
Again, if you buy a crappy game, you just give it to a friend. It's like, hey, can I give you something for it? Nah, it's only $15. That sort of deal. You're not going to do that with Terra Mystica,
right?
Or the latest T game from Board and Dice.
Right. Well, I mean, like last year, Flip 7. I mean, I went and I bought. You got a free Flip 7 last year. They gave out tons. A free Flip 7 if you bought a game. And I bought Video Game Champions from them, from the OP.
Oh, that's not Video Game Champions. That's Arcane Wonders.
Or excuse me, Arcane Wonders. Yes.
No.
But it was.
Oh, the OP is Flip 7. Video Game Champions is Arcane Wonders. So you must have bought something else.
I must have bought something else. You're right, but it was the OP. Oh, I know what it was. It was Gnome Hollow? Gnome Hollow. That's what it was. And no, it was like everybody, because when you used to get there, you're like, all right, whatever, sure, throw it in there. Next thing you know, people are playing this like, wow, this is actually kind of fun. And it went wildfire. Next thing you know, within a year, it's the game of the year. It wins the Spiel des Jahres. This stupid, like, I could have done this. I have played that game so much in the last year because you can teach it to anybody. It is like the perfect filler game. I think it's $8 now. I mean, and they've sold, I would like to know how many units they've sold of that game, but it's got to be in the hundreds of thousands, millions. Yeah, you're probably right. Probably in the millions.
Because Target has this now.
Right.
Okay. Now I'm looking, I see there's two things I want to share before we wrap up the experience and go to what you took home, which is what we are all really interested in. But I see a picture down here, Gary.
Yeah, you got to pull that up.
Can I share this?
Yeah, I put it there so you can share it. So one of the big things is cosplay. There's cosplay that goes on all week long, right? And there's a great Ghostbusters crew that comes through, and they have the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, and I was like, oh, that is brilliant. I had one more too for you. Let me see if I can pull it up. But the cosplay is always really, really good. Always enjoy that. Let's see if this will pull up. And then they have this big cosplay parade. Actually, you may need to have to take that down. I may have to remove that, and then.
Yep, I'll remove it.
Let me remove it, and then I can add another one. And they're, I mean, some of the stuff you see is just so creative. There was even a guy who was pulling around. He was in a Monty Python and the Holy Grail. There you go. These guys.
Oh, that's good.
Isn't that good? They were in their suits, Megatron and Optimus Prime. So
that's awesome.
they have canes, So I was like, oh, that's so good. So that was a lot of fun. But actually, if you take that down, I'll show you one more here. This was great because used to every year I always look forward to these two guys, and they always walked around. They were a King Arthur and his Patsy from Monty Python, and the whole day they just ran around, and the Patsy's hitting the coconuts, behind, and they're doing the whole thing. Well, this year I saw this. Let's see. Okay, it's this image. Let me get it pulled up here. I was like, oh, this is great. I don't think it was the same guy, but just because I like Monty Python. I'll pull up here in just a second here. But it's that whole scene from She's a Witch, and he's the knight that has to keep holding up his thing because the bars come over his eyeballs.
Which I always confuse with the Princess Bride, where she's like, I'm not a witch, I'm a wife.
Oh yeah, you're
But
right,
that's
right, right.
Princess
Yeah,
Bride. That's not.
yeah.
Yeah, I always get
So he
those
had
two mixed up.
he had his wife there, and she has there it is. You can see it. She has a carrot for a nose, but he made
Nice.
the Trojan bunny, you know, and he pulled it
Oh.
around the whole thing. So I love the cosplay. Some of the cosplay is just fantastic, and people get really, really into it. So
I'm gonna pull up. Those are excellent. So I'm gonna pull up. There was something on your Instagram. I saw a lot of people posting. Let me scroll to it for you, Marty. Where are you? You are way over there. There we are. Okay. It's this spinning. There we go.
oh yeah,
I like the
That's
slow
awesome.
motion, and I'm just gonna leave it here to play for a while for everybody to enjoy. What's
Tony looks
happening
so
there, buddy?
thrilled.
What's happening?
All right, so this was at an event party on Wednesday night where they're releasing The Sims. So they brought in this special camera that rotates around you. And I
We're just gonna
told
keep
Tony,
watching it.
and so my wife said, you need to post on Instagram more. And I said, all right, this is an Instagram type thing. So I told Tony, I said, you be grumpy, I'll be happy, and we'll just see what happens. And then that's what popped out.
Okay. That was fun. All right, we're getting to the top of the hour. I want to make sure we get to the most important part here. I really just want to leave that up, but I'll take it down because I'm nice. No, that's great. How do I? Oh, I don't know how to remove it. Too bad. Oh, there we go.
Oh, that's fine.
All right, you got lucky. Okay, so I know you brought games home. Maybe start with the ones that you're most excited about that you want to highlight. What did you bring home? Why? We'll start with you, Marty.
All right. So, because I know Gary bought one of these, he may want to be the one that shares it. So, I was one of the
You'll
games
have
I
different
really,
perspectives.
one of the ones I really wanted. Oop, just knocked him over. Is and that's got still got cellophane on it, so make sure it doesn't have glare. Is this boy?
Nice.
Which is
I saw a lot
new-
of people.
the new Pandemic. Basically, it's Pandemic for Lord of the Rings, from Matt Leacock.
I'm trying to make you big and it didn't work.
It's all right.
Maybe I can make you big. There you go.
There we go.
Okay.
Of course, it's backwards, obviously. But anyway, so yeah, I was really excited about this game, and I love Lord of the Rings. I like Pandemic, so that's the one I'm most probably excited to play and hope to get to in the next couple of weeks.
Okay, so you didn't get to play it when you were there.
Oh no, I
is
just
a
bought
heavier
it sight
game.
unseen. I figured Pandemic. I get it.
Yep.
I know it's going to be we're working together against Mordor.
Okay, I want to hear about it because a lot of people seem excited, and I know I enjoyed Wrath of the Lich King. That
Mhm.
I probably like that one the most, but the Clone Wars was probably better done. But we'll bounce over to you, Gary. Pick one of yours, and we'll just go back and forth.
I put up an image. I actually took a picture of basically my main buys. It's probably one of my lighter years, just because I'm really picky now with what games I'm going to buy. But there's Spooktacular. I did grab a Battle of Hoth, which I'm really excited about. I think my son actually will enjoy playing that with me. I got a Fellowship that I can't wait to bust that open with hopefully with some friends, because they say it plays better with more people, but it's brutal. I've heard from multiple people. They said I haven't even won it, or it's like 6-7 tries to win it. But that's thematic. It should be hard. It should be hard to get the ring to, into Mordor and doing all that stuff. The Iliad is a Reiner Knizia 2-player game that I actually really enjoyed. It's pretty easy. I played it with David Waybright of Man vs. Meeple. And then Rival Cities, which I want to come back to in just a second. There's Up or Down. And then that's Wondrous Museum there in the middle. Like Marty, one of the best things to do about Gen Con is like finding these small publishers. That is from a Japanese company, Broadway Toys, that you can't get in the US. You were only going to get it at Gen Con. So I was really looking. They had a couple of games. That was one I really wanted. You're kind of building out your museum. But the Rival Cities there is another 2-player game, kind of a push and pull, kind of in the kind of a vein of a Watergate, but maybe a little crunchier-esque. And you're just 2 cities, Hamburg and Altona, I think it is, and you're trying to get more ships, or you're working on ports. You can, there's a rondel action as you go around. That's how you're doing your actions using a rondel. But it's a small game. And Marty, I think you guys played that, didn't you? Did you enjoy it?
We did. So we played at the airport because our flight was delayed for 9 hours. So luckily we had bags in our game, and we played Yokoyama, Yokoyama Duel, and Rival Cities. And I think between the two, I like Rival Cities more because there's multiple paths to victory. There's several winning conditions, and so while you're working on one, you need to be very cognizant of what your opponent is doing to try to keep them from winning on a possible different condition. So it is a crunchy 2-player game, probably plays in about 45 minutes. I think once you really know it, it'll move quicker. But
That's
we played
perfect.
it once, and I'm looking forward to play it again. And Gary, you and I must have the same sort of taste because 5 of these games on the screen, Hoth, Fellowship, Wondrous Museums, Up or Down, Rival Cities, I got. And I plan on getting Spooktacular in the future for our big Halloween party that we do here. So
Fun.
Can you
that's a good list.
Yeah, can you guys tell me about this? Can you tell me about this Battle of Hoth?
It is Memoir 44, but Star Wars. Basically, that's basically it.
Okay.
It's a little more streamlined. Some of the Memoir 44 people that have got this are kind of like, well, it's not this, but well, yeah. I mean, Memoir 44 has like 5,000 expansions, and so they're kind of retheming it, stripping it down. There is some changes because you got extra player, like if you're on the you're on the dark side, you can get. Oh, there you go. Perfect. You can be Vader. So there's like you can
Gary's voice and Marty's face.
So, and you got the car. It's just Memoir 44 Star Wars. And it got great little minis. I'll probably paint some of mine. Or at least put a wash on some of them. And they'll be, if it sells well, I've already heard they're going to do some expansion. Does that mean they'll do like Battle of Tatooine or Battle of Endor or what? But and there's even some campaigns in a little bit too. So really looking forward to that. Could I also share something real quick about Spooktacular? Do you know about that game?
I have heard about it. I think that was what Vassal was talking about it, but
yeah, they were the ones that kind of put it on the map, and more people got a hold like, yeah, actually this game is pretty fun because it's easy to teach. Basically the theme is, you're a kid with your friends at the movie theaters, watching a horror film at the matinee, but basically, and there's multiple theaters within the big complex theater. But each person around the table is going to play one of 20 monsters, like of the movie you're watching. And it's all kind of that kind of 60s looking type, 50s, 60s type movie monsters. You basically come out of the screen, and each of those 20 monsters play differently. And you're going around devouring kids or scaring kids. And that's the game. And that's how you get your points. So it is, like Marty said, great for like a Halloween, set it down. There's like about 3 things that everybody needs to know. Then after that, it's just read your board and just do what the board says and go around and start eating kids.
There was a movie way back when called Matinee. I think it had John Goodman or something in it. I grew up watching it. It's called Matinee. Anyway, it kind of reminded me of that, where it opens with like one of the first immersive theater experience in the 60s, and something comes out of the screen like a monster. The man in an ant suit comes out of the screen. And it's all very goofy, but that sounded like it had that kind of feel, which I tend to like more when it's on the goofy or the classic Hollywood monsters side of things.
Yeah. The point track goes around the board, which what's funny is the point markers are like the police cars that are going around the theater. There's because there's things that are going on. Obviously, calls are coming from inside the theater. Hey, come help us. But I'm actually really excited about playing this one.
Awesome.
And it's one that if it goes well, I mean, you can see, here's another 15 monsters for you. So
awesome. Marty, give me another game. And actually, how many? You said earlier, how many games did you come home with? You gave me poundage.
Yeah, so Tony and I came back with both 50 pounds. Again, a lot of them small games. Of course, a lot of them are review copies too of stuff we need to play. Now, one I was interested in, I do like historical games. So let me grab this one.
In the meantime, we're gonna enjoy
Aries Aries Games has a lot of really good fast Euro historical games, and one of them is Quartermaster General.
Oh, you
And
got that. Oh.
yeah, so they have different versions of this. This is the South Front, and this is a 2-player game. It plays in like 45 minutes, which I've got my dad to start playing with these. So I was very interested in this new version of this game. It's not going to get a lot of buzz because a lot of people aren't into historical games, but it's one that I was
love 'em.
very interested as far as a big game. And it's light. It's on the lighter side and quick.
Okay.
Marty,
I
did you
love it.
also play the new General Quarters or General's Orders game, the
I did.
Samurai? How was that?
If you like General Orders, you'll probably like this one. It just adds some new bits, some new actions because there are now ships and ships become involved. So, the first one had
That's last year's game.
the first one had airplanes. So this one now has ships.
Okay. It's made by David Thompson, the Undaunted guy.
Okay.
Yeah, and Trevor Benjamin, that crew, and I enjoy pretty much anything they put out. So that's one of their smaller games.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
They had redone that was a World War II one last year. Then they did like a samurai one this year.
Yep.
Okay.
Also, that Rival Cities, if you're a Hansa Teutonica fan, that is made by Andrea Stedding, who did Hansa Teutonica. And that was one thing that kind of put me on that game when I heard about it. So yeah, there's some pretty good games. Of course, Essen will have some pretty mega releases. I've already started looking through that list a little bit. But overall, considering everything that's going on economically, it was a pretty decent Gen Con. It could have been worse.
I'm too big. Ah! There we go. Okay, good. I'm glad. So is Essen in either of your futures?
Maybe.
I had intended on going last year and it fell through. So yes, I will eventually go just to say that I went. But yeah, not this year.
Okay. All right. Well, I think that was a nice little recap. I know there's a lot more to share. A little bit about what's coming ahead on the channel here, Board Games for One. This weekend, I did a cooperative games list, some of my favorite cooperative games recently. So I wanted to do some of my favorite competitive games, but some of y'all saw and I reached out to the channel. I needed help with that one because I realized I tend to go more toward cooperative and shy a little bit away from competitive, which is a lot of games. So this was fun for me. So I compiled a list that'll drop this weekend of some of my favorite competitive style games. If you like something where there's not much downtime and people are really competing, but you don't necessarily walk away feeling bad. So Scythe is not on this list, nor anything like that. So that's coming up. And Uprising, I don't know if you guys heard of Uprising, but they've got a new expansion coming out. And so they sent me Uprising. So I'm going to unbox that. And then once the embargo lifts, I'll drop a review on that. We spoke about CCGs. I've got a co-op play of Palace Heist. That's Disney Lorcana, the Illumineers Quest. It's a co-op solo CCG. And there was a lot of interest in Dragon Eclipse, my current favorite game. I absolutely love it. So I'll be putting a playthrough of that in. And some others. I got to explore classics. It was a lot of fun, like for the first time playing things like Concordia for this competitive video. All of those classics were new to me, Seven Wonders. So it was fun to explore that. That's what's coming here. But I want one more time. Gary, we know where you lurk. Where can we find you?
Oh, well, you'll find me here. You'll find me there. But basically, you'll see me like in the Discords. I'm in Marty's Discord, rolling dice and taking names. And but yeah, I'm just kind of a wanderer. I'm also in the Man vs. Meeple Discord every now and then, and go in there and bother Ryan and David too. So yeah.
All right, Marty, where can we find you?
So we have, again, our podcast. Wherever you listen to podcasts, you're going to find us there. You're going to find us on Instagram, obviously, at Dyson Names. In fact, all of our social medias at Dyson Names. And our big Gen Con episode will be dropping next Tuesday. So what we do is at the show, every night we record a 20 to 30-minute segment of stuff we saw during the day, stitch it all together for one episode. And so that'll be coming out next Tuesday. So you get to hear about all these games we talked about with publishers.
Awesome. Awesome. I will be listening to it. Thank you, chat. Thank you so much for coming. I should have mentioned it earlier. If you would like to support the channel, just click the like and subscribe. That does a whole lot,
Okay.
unless you don't like
I'll
us.
do that.
Yeah, if you don't like us, then please do not subscribe. You will be very unhappy if you don't like it. That's okay. Yeah, Board Game Officer, thanks so much for coming. I'm gonna let you all go now because I live in an RV, which is great. The air conditioner is quite loud, so whenever I do recording or these, I turn the air conditioning off, and it's 100 degrees. So I'm starting to melt. So and my computer is gonna overheat. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Thank you, chat, everybody. I love you all. I'll see
It
you
was
next
fun.
time.
Thank you.